Hey there, friends and enemies, JoPaWrites here once again, and today I've got another brand new Marvel's Avengers video. This one talking about the upcoming changes with the Hawkeye DLC, as well as some of the experience updates that we're going to be seeing going forward, why I'm not a fan of those changes, and what I would like to see from Crystal Dynamics going forward to reintroduce a bit of excitement to the game. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe to the channel, it helps me out tremendously, and it shows that you're interested in seeing more Marvel's Avengers videos from me, as I do put them out pretty regularly. Now, getting into it, I am running the More Than a Human mission. This one is actually the fastest current way to level up in the game. It is insanely fast. You go up 5 or 6 levels in one run, and I understand why they wanted to nerf it a little bit. However, I will say that the leveling process of the base levels from 1 to 50 is the most tedious part of the game, and I'm just not a fan of increasing that. It's increasing the amount of time that especially new players are going to have to grind. It's going to limit the amount of characters that each player wants to run through, and that's just not something that I think they should be doing at this point. Crystal Dynamics should be doing everything in their power in order to bring on new players, and expand the player base in general. Now, unfortunately, the hardcores are not going to be affected by this, because the majority will already have their characters all level 50 or close to it. But it's also going to put a damper on some of the new characters that we see coming into the game, like Hawkeye, like Spider-Man, who's coming to the game at some point in the near future, She-Hulk, or Black Panther, any of those characters. Folks are not going to want to regrind up to level 50 all these brand new characters if they've already done so in the past with all the other characters. They have their team set. There's really no reason. Adding to that, the fact that there's no real end game currently, and there's no reason to grind up these characters to make your builds. If you don't have a raid or other cooperative activity that is going to be super exciting and engaging and draw players in, make them want to do the more difficult content, there's no reason for them to grind out these levels anyway. Now, in my personal opinion, the game feels at its best in 2 different spots. One, the storytelling. The storytelling I find very good, from the base campaign to the Kate Bishop DLC, and I'm expecting the same thing to happen when we get the Hawkeye DLC and others in the future. The game feels great, and once you get your character to level 50, start working on their builds and fully updating their abilities, that's where the game can shine. Unfortunately, it can be a bit of a slog to get there already, and it's just going to be even worse with these changes, and I just don't see a reason for this at current. The game should be encouraging new players to hop in, have fun, and try out new characters. In my personal opinion, I just don't understand the logic behind this at this stage in the game. If anything, I would say the game needs to be a little bit easier once you level up your first character to level 50, getting your alternates up there as well, because the things that you can still grind are your challenge card, you can grind your gear score. All of that is still available and is still an option to work on outside of just your base level. Now, again, I understand why they want to introduce this when it is so easy to level up certain characters or all your characters with certain missions, but that's fine. There's really no reason not to have your characters leveling up super fast anyway, because then every time you do, you'll be able to introduce new abilities really rapidly, and your characters are actually gonna feel like heroes. At the base levels, the characters don't feel that great, and that is one of the most unfortunate parts of the game right now, is that they just don't feel awesome when you're level 25. Now compare that to level 50. My Thor feels like the God of Thunder, and it feels fantastic, and I don't know why they're going to prevent that from being the norm and having all your characters be level 50, because the gear score grind is still in the game. Now, some other things I will contribute is that, like I said, until we get a raid or other villain sectors, other end game activities for multiplayer, for co-op, this game is going to continue to flounder no matter what they do. Now, this means that it's going to be even worse, in my opinion. Less players are going to want to take the plunge and dive in, because they're not going to want to grind all their characters up to level 50. And that's really unfortunate, because a lot of the characters that don't feel very good in the beginning of the game as you're first getting started are fantastic at endgame. You look at Miss Marvel, she's one that I kind of struggled with at first personally, but she is a absolutely beast of a healer once you get her to level 50 and get her leveled up right. Now, Hawkeye is another character who I'm not sure if I'm going to want to level him up fast or not, but he's going to be another healer, and it seems like he's going to be different enough from Kate Bishop that you'll be able to bring him on your squad and still feel like he's his own guy, right? He's not going to be a direct copycat. The problem once again comes into whether you're going to want to level and spend all that time, energy, and effort on a character who knows how meta he's going to be, who knows how good he's going to feel, and ultimately that's going to keep him from some people from grinding him. That's just the bottom line. Besides that, there's just other things that I want, quality of life improvements in the game that I think are absolutely necessary, from crossplay, new variety of enemies. We have seen, unfortunately, that we don't have enough variety of enemies. Hopefully with the Kree or the Skrulls or whoever, they start introducing different challenges, different enemies, different abilities, all that kind of stuff, because it kind of it's boring. We saw that with Kate Bishop. The storytelling was good, right? But they used some of the same locations, they used some of the same enemies, and it just didn't feel different enough. One of the major concerns I've seen a lot of people have, and I have as well, is with Maestro being the main enemy for the new DLC, is he going to feel too much like Abomination, who's already in the game and is already a boss fight that we've seen many times? They need variety in this game more than anything, and that is what is sorely lacking, on top of quality end game content that people are going to grind with friends. All hope is not lost with this game. That's one thing that I've seen. Folks are like, oh, this game is a lost cause, it's going to be canceled, similar to what Anthem went through, unfortunately. And I think this has a better, more solid footing, in my opinion, to continue on and be successful. It's got the Avengers name, it's got really fun abilities and characters, it's got good base level story, and this might have been a game that would have been better off being a simple co-op adventure with friends instead of a full looter shooter, because again, the lack of endgame was really problematic so far and has hindered the game quite a bit. And that's something that we've seen for a lot of looter shooters. We saw it with Anthem, we saw it with Fallout 76, we saw it with so many other MMO lights and these types of games. If you don't have endgame working properly, then it's just not gonna succeed as a game, unfortunately. That's just the bottom line. If you don't have replayable content that is fun. The other quality of life thing that I would love to see from them is seasonal events, activities, whatever the case may be. I know this is on the back burner. It's not something that we're going to see right away for obvious reasons, because you want to work on the end game first. You need a raid, you need more boss fights that are going to stay in the game consistently, all of that kind of good stuff. But eventually, if you're going to be a live service game, if they're going to stay as a live service game, absolutely need seasonal events, different events that are going to happen from time to time, and keep players engaged, keep players coming back on a weekly basis. Destiny gets some flack for their seasonal roadmap. They don't have it perfect. yet at all, but they do it very well. And again, they have players coming back constantly. You will not see players take a long gap from Destiny because of all there is to do, and that's just what Avengers is missing right now. Players will come back for the DLC, players will come back when there's a major update, but in between that, they're not going to be around for the most part, especially once they've got their characters leveled up, once they've got their abilities, their specs all in line, they have their build exactly as they want it to be. So that's just my thoughts and my feelings on the game, where I want them to take it, and what I hope to see going forward. I don't know if any of that is going to happen. I don't know if they're going to stick with the game long term. I don't know what is going to happen ultimately with Marvel's Avengers. I am somebody who has enjoyed my time with the game and wants more of it as much as possible. If we can get solid end game, if they can turn it around a la Final Fantasy Realm Reborn, a la No Man's Sky and Fallout 76 to a lesser extent, then I feel like this game could be really fun and really a good time with a solid community. Until they do all of that, until they fix some of those base things, we'll see. But the experience change is one that absolutely does not make any sense, and I hope they revert it before it's too late. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you do, hit that like button, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You see all my Marvel's Avengers and other looter shooter videos, but I hope you have a good one, have a great one, and I'll catch you all later.